Hi, it's Alaska Granny. I was lucky enough that my grandchildren got to come for a visit. They've come and gone. It was very hectic having them here, but what a joy. Look at these little darlings. Look into these sweet little faces, and can you imagine having to say, I'm sorry, I didn't prepare, I don't have any food for you today? Would you ever want that to happen? Of course not. That's why we prepare and we stockpile a prepper pantry of food storage so that we never have to look into these little faces and say, I'm sorry, there's nothing for you to eat today. We can always go to our pantry and find something. It may not be the most delicious, fresh, wonderful favorite food, but it can certainly be something that can fill and nourish our bodies. I had the opportunity to go to a Dollar Tree, and yes, some of the shelves had some gaps. Some of the shelves were empty, but a wonderful surprise was to see the stockpile of boxes on this one aisle that are ready to be put away. They have plenty of new boxes of merchandise to put away on the shelves. Unfortunately, perhaps they're short-handed because no one was unwrapping those boxes and loading them on the shelves. They were busy checking out the customers. That seems to be a problem with all of the local businesses. Everyone still has a help wanted sign. So part of putting up with shortages is even when the stock does come in, there's a short supply of workers to put the items onto the shelves. If you're still looking for prepping supplies, they have clear ponchos in case you need to add one to your bug out bag. Look for the inserts of the insoles that go inside your shoes. A surprising good use for those inner soles is to help keep your feet warm. You slip a pair into your shoes, and when you're walking around outside where it's cold, it gives you an extra layer of insulation that helps keep your feet warm. You'd be surprised how effective they are. They had small bottles of Clorox Bleach, which are just the right size to add to your prepping supplies if you need bleach for purifying water in an emergency. It's important to have a fresh bottle of bleach. You don't need very much if you're going to purify water because you only need a few drops at a time. You want to make sure that it doesn't have any kind of a scent added, and don't buy the splashless bleach. It has different chemicals in it and it's not appropriate for purifying water. If you're still trying to find canned meat at the Dollar Tree, you better hope all you want is tuna, sardines, maybe mackerel, and some Vienna sausages. They did have some little tiny cans of luncheon loaf. The ability to stockpile on a variety of meats at the Dollar Tree seems to be coming to an end. If you're looking for long-term food storage, you can still find pinto beans. They had black beans, red beans, and lentils. The dried beans and lentils will last nearly forever. Pour them into a clean jar, fill them into a Mylar bag, put them in an airtight container, and you can set them away in your prepper pantry for the longest term food storage. They can last indefinitely. As long as you store them airtight in a cool, dark, dry place, they're going to last nearly forever. You can find egg noodles, and they also had lots of pasta. Egg noodles don't last as long as pasta because it has eggs in it, so you can store those for a few years, but if you buy regular pasta, you can store it nearly forever. The only rice that Dollar Tree had on this trip was the yellow rice. These are nice packets, but it's not the same as we want to have the buckets of white rice to store away forever. But these are nice if you want to make a meal. It has a nice flavorful seasoning with it. But make sure that you're rotating these yellow rice packets because they have other ingredients in them besides rice. Dollar Tree also has small packets of golden quinoa. Quinoa is a great little grain that you can cook quickly, and it adds a lot of extra protein into your meals. Dollar Tree is a good place to look for the Gosner shelf-stable milk. They only had the whole milk on this trip and not very many, but you can still buy the shelf-stable milk to add to your prepper pantry. Dollar Tree also had some instant oatmeal in flavors. So if instant oatmeal is something that you're looking to add to your prepper pantry or maybe even your bug out bag, look for some flavors that you might enjoy. You just need to heat water and stir it in and you can have something to eat. They also had the outrageous quick 1-minute oats, bags of cereal like Frosted Flakes and Lucky Charms. Look at this tiny little bag of sugar. It's like a baby sugar. It's 1 pound. It's hardly bigger than a box of Jell-O. But if you need to get some sugar, you can get it for $1 at Dollar Tree. I don't think that's probably the best buy on sugar, but if you need it and you don't need very much, there you go. You can find a small amount for $1. Dollar Tree is a good place to stock up on spices and seasonings. They had some chicken bouillon. They had the chicken bouillon cubes, and they also had the Sazon Goya seasoning, which is very delicious. Those are great to add to your pantry because you can use the addition of a little bit of flavor to change up your basic beans and rice or whatever it is you're cooking. You can add additional flavors into your ordinary foods. I'm still looking for the small bottles of Italian dressing, but once again, they have them, but they're expiring within a matter of days. So that wouldn't be something I'd want to buy for my long-term food storage. If food is ready to go out of date, it's not something you want to buy to add to your long-term food storage. You want to find newer, fresher foods that can last for several years. Something that's dated to go out in a few weeks might be okay if you want to use it right away, but it isn't something you should add to your pantry. What did I buy at the Dollar Tree to add to my prepper pantry? Well, the first thing I bought was a box of the pancake and waffle mix because I have a very easy recipe where you can turn this into a loaf of bread. I'll put a link to that video if you haven't seen it and you're interested in turning this into a very simple loaf of bread. I bought another box of the quick grits. They're only $1. They cook in 5 minutes and they're a great addition to the prepper pantry. You can pour them into a jar, put on a tight-fitting lid, and store them in your pantry for about 5 years. I bought a package of the quinoa because it's delicious. I have several recipes that I use quinoa. It's quick cooking. It cooks about the same as rice. You could even cook it in your rice cooker if you want. I was glad to see my favorite muffin mix, the Betty Crocker muffins. All you need to add is water, and they keep in the pantry. They're very sturdy packages. I've even bought many of these, put them into a 5-gallon bucket, just as is, put the packages into the 5-gallon bucket, put on the lid, and they've lasted for several years. These are so simple because you just add water. You don't have to worry about having any other ingredients. A lot of them require milk or eggs, and you may not have that on a given day, so these are perfect. I bought a bag of the Vigo saffron rice. This is great with a can of chicken and a few other ingredients, and you can make a nice little meal. I bought another bag of lentils simply because they're simple to cook. They last nearly forever in your food storage, and you can cook them up and substitute them for ground beef if you don't have any in some of your recipes. Whether you want to make a meatloaf, you want to add them into your pasta sauce, you can even make sloppy joes like a manwich with some lentils. I needed another jar of barbecue sauce, so I was glad to find some at the Dollar Tree. This doesn't last forever. You can have it a couple of years in your pantry, but it's the type of food that just isn't going to last forever. Don't buy more of condiments like barbecue sauce that you can't use up in a reasonable amount of time. You don't want to waste your food storage dollars or your pantry space on foods that you can't use in the correct amount of time. So they will last longer than the date, but you need to still be cognizant of rotating them. I bought a big bottle of lemon juice because it was only $1. I have a great recipe for a cleaner where you add lemon juice with a few other ingredients to make a natural spray cleaner. On my last shopping excursion, I bought a big bag of spaghetti noodles, so this time I bought some egg noodles because it gives you a variety when you're cooking your meals. Oop. Egg noodles are something that you can use to make a tuna casserole, a chicken casserole. You can serve all kinds of foods over egg noodles. It makes it a little different consistency, a little different flavor than just having plain old pasta. I found a nice big can of pork and beans. And I was very excited to find sliced mango. I have not seen canned mango in a long, long time. And then to be able to buy it for only $1 was a real find. Some of the cans were dented though, so look them over, make sure that they're in good shape before you buy them. The mango is dated for the end of 2023, so this can last for 2 years in the prepper pantry. I found turkey gravy at the Dollar Tree and beef gravy, and now I found chicken gravy. It's interesting, they've only had one kind. They haven't had all of the different kinds at any one store. So it's nice to get a variety, especially if you can't get all the meats that you want. You can add the meat flavor by adding something like a gravy mix with the meat flavor in it. I also found a can of beefaroni. I have a recipe where I make beefaroni chili, so this is going into my pantry for that. It's also important to be looking for prepping supplies, not just food. You need all of the different areas to help keep your life running smoothly. I found 5-hour candles. 5-hour emergency candles are nice because in a grid down or an emergency situation, you don't want to burn a candle all night, and the little votive candles don't last very long. So these emergency candles are nice because they can go quite a while. This to me was a great find, 70% alcohol. Dollar Tree usually has the 50%, but this is the first time I've seen this 70%. 70% is what you really want if you need to make your own hand sanitizer or you want to make your own alcohol stove. You need to have higher concentration of alcohol for it to burn better. Somehow I had actually depleted all of my supply of gallon bags here in the desert, so I was happy to get a box of them at the Dollar Tree. So while I did have a limit of $15, I actually did spend $16 because I did need the Ziploc bags and I was very excited to find the alcohol. So sometimes we need to spend a little more, sometimes we can't find what we need and we spend less. But make sure that you're spending what you can afford a little at a time. Bulk up your food, get a variety. The reason you should get a variety is if you just stock up 20 pounds of rice and 20 pounds of beans and then something happens, that's all you have to eat. But if you had 20 different items, you have a variety of ways to make different meals. Yes, both ways can keep you fed and full, but if you don't have a nice supply of variety of foods, start with that. Get a variety of foods and fill your pantry and then add to it with your beans and rice. That's my strategy for today of shopping at the Dollar Tree. So let us know if you can still find the things you want and if there's any suggestions on items we might look for at the Dollar Tree near us. If you enjoyed my video, I hope you'll share it with someone else you think might like it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.